Welcome back to another episode of The Mess in the Middle. Today, my guest hails from England.
Absolutely.
Good. So, this is Jodie, and Jodie and I are going to get into a conversation about how she's showing up in her entrepreneurial journey, what she sees, what her clients see, and see if we can help some people. So, let's take a few minutes first and introduce yourself and let everybody know what you're working on, and then we'll get into things from there.
Okay, so I'm Jodie. I've been in the beauty industry for the past 25 years. I've worked self-employed, I've worked employed, I've worked being mobile, working from home, in salons. I've pretty much done it all, alongside being married, being single, working alongside having a long-term illness and being a single mum. And so I think I've done quite a lot in my time. And then 3 years ago, I decided in lockdown to use that time to train as a coach. And so now I'm starting on the journey of becoming a beauty business coach, as I call myself.
Interesting. Okay, so tell everybody, what is a beauty coach? What would that consist of?
Okay, so really it's anybody who's working in the beauty industry. So whether they're hairdressers, beauty therapists, aesthetic practitioners, anything like that. If they're working in the industry and they want to know how to start up a business, or they've already got a business, but they're struggling to get clients and just they've lost direction, then that's where I come in and help them find their way.
Okay. And is this something that's common in your industry, or are there others? I assume there would be others like you, but what kind of made you decide to go to that path?
There are a few other sort of beauty coaches in the
Okay.
industry, and I've had a look, and I do think my approach is different to theirs. My approach is very much around people's values and being in alignment with their businesses, not
Okay.
just business as a mainstream, like a business coach would just go in from a business point of view. Whereas I want to make sure they've got a business that they're totally in alignment with and that fulfills that gap in their life whilst bringing the money in and everything else. But yeah, no, I think I chose that kind of niche really because obviously I've been in the industry for 25 years and I know it so well, even though it's a really fast paced, there's so many new things new trends and everything that come in the industry. But it's something I know, it's something I'm comfortable with. And I feel that I've got enough knowledge and experience to be able to pass that on to other people.
Good. And I think that's how a lot of people start a business to begin with. They've got an expertise. Excuse me. They're trying to evolve to what's next. I found myself at the same fork in the road where I've done agency work for so long. It was okay. I could take on more clients. I could try to niche into a little bit more something specific in marketing. And none of that really resonated with me. At some point, it's not just about money. It's got to be exciting to still wake up, especially if you've been doing it for a really long time. How do you reignite that passion of still doing the same thing but getting still evolving yourself? It's like there's always got to be something more that you can learn. And luckily, excuse me, luckily for me, AI came because that is completely changed, especially my industry and the way that we market online and build websites and write content and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of made my industry a lot more exciting. I know a lot of people are afraid of it, and there's cause to be concerned, but at the same time, be present and recognize where that industry is going to take us, and it can be such a powerful tool, especially for small businesses, if you embrace it and get in and learn how to use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. When I first started my beauty business, I literally had no idea. So you go to college, you learn your trade, and then you're just pushed out into the big wide world. And so there's no business training as
Yeah.
such. You know how to do your facials, your manicures, etc. But there's no knowing how to run a business. And so with everything else that was going on in my world at the time, obviously social media wasn't even in
Mhm.
existence. And as well, really, even business coaches, they really weren't. I'd probably
Right.
never even heard of one of those back when I started. So I really did have to find my own way. And obviously, it took us so much longer than what it would nowadays. And in one way, I like to say that I'm quite proud of being old school, because sometimes old school beats new school any day. Even though everything that's done online now, your
Right.
Facebook, your Instagram, even websites, really, because I certainly didn't have one for many years after I started my business.
That was like a luxury back then.
Well, exactly. But you know what?
Nobody's looking.
If your Instagram or your Facebook goes down, people are like, oh my God, they freeze. They're like, what do I do? And I'm like, you get your shoes on and you go and
You
knock
go
on
to
the
work.
door. Yeah, I like to say I'm a mix of both old school
Yeah.
and new school, bringing it together so that youngsters today can have a really strong business.
Good. I mean, looking back, we are that last generation that knows how to market, that had to learn the hard way. Because you're right, there wasn't anybody really out there laying the path for us, teaching us how to run a business, teaching us how to do it faster.
Yeah.
That really didn't exist. We just had to learn it. And the generation today is benefiting from all the hard work that we've done over the last 20 years to be able to
Yeah.
get business where it is. Now, of course, some of that fast track because of technology, but we had to figure it out. Now, if you think
Yeah.
about people starting a business today, they still run into that same thing. So, say they've got an expertise, they work for somebody, and now they're ready to spin off and start their own business. They don't know how to do it. And I'm really good at cutting hair or changing oil in cars, or I'm a fitness person or whatever. They've got some kind of skill, but I think where they run into that challenge is they need to be able to say, okay, I've got the expertise to sell or deliver results of whatever my widget is. I've got that part nailed. That's why I want to start my own business. But really, the energy and the time and the investment needs to go into how do I set this up properly? How do I do things according to a little bit more of a direct route? What I find is people will start working on the business, then build the website, build a custom app, go all the way out, set up a bunch of automation, come back, and then they're like, I don't have any customers. So it's really slowing down for a second and say, okay, just like I learned my trade, I started with step one. How do I do that in business and start with step one? What does that look like? What should that be? And then how do I build on top of that? Way back when I first started, we didn't have to build a community. We didn't have to build a market. We didn't have to do any of that. We could build a website and go out there and sell. No problem. Today, there's so much noise and so much competition. You can't do it that way anymore. You'll be sorely disappointed.
You've really got to make yourself stand out significantly in that domain if you want to go down that route. It's, as you said, social media and that is just so busy and there's so much of it. And if you can't find your niche and your tribe and really stand out to them, you're just going to get blown away. They just aren't going to find you. They're not going to interact with you. I get a lot of clients say to me, I'm posting on Instagram, I'm posting on Facebook. Why is nobody interacting with me? And then I look at their business pages and I'm like, because you don't even know who you're talking to. You haven't even gone down the basic route of who is it you want to talk to? How are you talking to them? I've got a VA, a virtual assistant, who is in her early 20s. And do you know what? I find her so invaluable because she knows how to talk to the youngsters. And obviously, I'm a bit older now and a bit old fashioned in that respect. So she helps me translate almost the old school into the new school. I just love to help people go from, I haven't got a clue, to, oh my goodness, that's where I'm going. That's the road, that's the direction. And that initial excitement And then obviously trying to teach them to keep that excitement and keep that passion. And if they build their business properly, then they keep that throughout the years. And then it doesn't become like work or a job, as I call it. You're just going to do your passion every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to promote with people.
So if you start working with somebody, are they typically already in business or are they brand new?
Most of them are probably within the first year.
First
So
year.
quite early on. So either they've just been poodling along, not really knowing what they're doing. Like I said, putting a few posts out, they set up an account and they're still messing around with family and friends and trying to go down that route of finding new clients and really not sure what it is. All they know is they want to do their trade that they've trained in, and
Right.
that's it really.
And that's it. Yeah. Typically,
Yeah.
that's what I find as well. Small businesses, they don't want to be marketers or
No.
salespeople. They just want to do whatever they do. The challenge with
Yeah.
that is without the marketing and the sales, they don't really have a business. They just have a hobby. And
Yeah.
generating a few bucks here and there is not a legitimate business as far as I'm concerned. It's
No.
just not.
No, and that's it. And so whether they want a part-time business or a full-time business, you've got to make, like you say, make that decision. It's either a hobby or a business. What do you want to do with it? And obviously, if I can help differentiate, I had a conversation with a lady once before. She was like a makeup artist and did spray tanning and things like that. And I said to her, I said, what are you doing with your business? And she went, actually, I only do it part-time because I've actually got a full-time job. And I said, have you got intentions to leave that part-time job and make this your real work, your real business? And she went, do you know what? Actually thinking about it, no, she said, I actually like my job. I like having that employment and I actually really enjoy my job. So we discussed what she was wanting to do. And in the end, she was like, do you know what? I love the beauty, but there's parts of it I actually don't like. I don't know why I'm doing them. So I'm like, why are you? If it's not making you happy, why are you doing this? And she did this, I think it was the spray tanning. I think she decided to actually drop it in the end and just focus on doing her makeup at the weekends for people's weddings and things like that. Going into a full-time business isn't for everybody. As I said, it's not for the faint-hearted.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. So do you find when you go in to start coaching somebody that everybody is a fit, or maybe you have to have that hard conversation of you're just not going to be able to pull this off? The commitment's not there. The knowledge isn't there.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm very much the type of person that feels I can talk to most people and I
Okay.
can get on with most people. But if there is something that doesn't feel right, then I won't pursue that contract with that client. And for whatever reason, and it might just be that I feel my program isn't a right fit for them, or like you said, what they're trying to achieve I can't get behind for some reason, but they're not willing to maybe,
Do the work.
yeah, and or change their expectations. So no, I will have that conversation with somebody if I don't feel it's a good fit. But I think if people are willing to put the effort in, and my particular program is it's an interactive one, so they have to physically do the work to get through it. And I do not a helicopter parent kind of thing, but I do check in with them. How are you getting on with that? How did you find that module? And because I want them to physically do something. And if it's out of their comfort zone, I want to be able to support them in getting through that. So I do say to people, look, are you willing to put the work in here? Because if you are, then I will match it. But the only way to build a business is to work it. You've got to put some work into it somewhere.
Sure. So your program is online and in person, or how does it work?
Okay, so it's mainly online. I do 2 sessions one-on-one. So one at the beginning, so I can find out exactly what they want and what their direction is and where they're going to go. Then they've got 6 modules to work through. And then I do another one at the end. So I don't want to sort of them to finish the course and then go, now what? So I want to make sure they've got a really good plan. And if that's continuing to work with me in a membership way, or just them having a plan of, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, and then they run with it, that's absolutely fine. And then obviously they can contact me in between if they need help with anything.
Okay. Do you see some kind of pattern with where they're stumbling?
To be honest, the kind of things that they get stuck on is generally anything to do with the mindset.
Okay.
So for some, it's a money mindset. So asking for money, feeling comfortable, knowing their worth and that they're charging the correct price, and or just things like having a cancellation policy and being strong enough to say,
I
this
got
is
to
why I
charge
do
you.
this, and this
Yeah.
is what I'm going to charge you. But it's amazing how many people have a real money block asking for money. It's quite often something they've been brought up with. You've got to
Yeah.
work hard for your money. You've got to give value for your money. Talking about money is rude. So to then say to somebody that's going to be £30 for a manicure, for example, they then find that really uncomfortable. So again, it's teaching them different ways to come to terms with that and talking about what their block around is, where it came from. So I like to deep dive into that a little bit and try and figure that out. But again, sometimes it's really daft because it's a very personable industry. When you're doing a massage or a facial, you're in very close proximity of that person. And yet some people really struggle with communication. And
Yeah.
they're like, I've got this person in front of me and they're looking at me to do something. And again, it's almost like they freeze and it's come to you because they've warmed to you and they've seen what you do and they like what you do and they're coming to you because they want to. And
Mhm.
again, it goes back to that belief of, am I good enough for that client to come and see me? And of course, these people are good enough, but it's having that self-worth. And this is why I'm very much about building sort of a strong foundation. So I go back to what their values are, because if you're not working with people that you want to work with, and if you're not asking for what you feel you're worthy of, then you haven't got
Why
a strong
bother?
business. Yeah.
There's a really great book out there. It's been around probably 10 years called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind
Oh,
by T.
okay.
Harv Eker. Very good money book and mindset where he breaks it down into some of the basic stuff of, is this a childhood thing? How do you connect to money? Is it abundant? Is it scarce? How do you feel about it? How were you brought up with it? Very good book. I would recommend you tell clients that are or customers that are struggling with that to grab that online and read it. It will change your life. And
Oh,
especially
it's,
knowing what to charge and feeling your worth. He
mm,
went through that, but definitely one of the money books that have stuck with me. And there's quite a bit of training out there on YouTube about money and mindsets. So it's definitely worth exploring because once they get through that, it won't be so awkward for them to think about or to ask
yeah.
for it because they'll get rid of that mind garbage that's going on that's preventing them.
Absolutely. And it's about creating good business habits from the
Right.
start. So, being comfortable so that every time you have a new treatment, you don't go through that mindset hassle of, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I charging? They just go, no, this is what I'm charging. This is what it's worth. This is what my time is worth. That's what I'm doing. So they
Good.
don't have all that hassle and keep going through it. So I try to make sure that's all sorted right at the beginning,
Good.
because otherwise it just blocks many different things.
So if you think about if they had jobs beforehand or they just came straight out of school, this isn't something they've had to deal with yet. So I think
Mm.
another mind shift would be it's not that I have money issues. I just don't know yet. It's something that I haven't learned and I can't implement it in my business if I haven't learned it. So maybe coming more from a perspective of I'm a student learning this and I'm practicing versus I'm not worth it. I don't know what to do. Of course, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
How would you? So give
Yeah.
yourself a break and say, somebody teach me. That's the whole point of having a coach. Somebody teach me what this is supposed to look like and then just evolve through it.
Absolutely. And I love being able to give people options or helping
Mhm.
them come up with the options. Because again, what I might do in business might not align with what they want to do in business.
Right.
So I don't like to preach what I'm doing as that's it. That's the way it's got to be done. I come up, this is the way I've run it in my business all these years. And again, I've got that personal experience to say to them, I've been there, I've done this. But for you, you can take that option. Or what other options do you think you could take? What about this one or this one? And obviously exploring that with them. And sometimes it's trial and error. You try something and it doesn't work, and they'll come back and go, that just didn't feel quite comfortable for me. So it's okay. So let's try a different option, or how can we swap that round a little bit? And yeah, I like to think of myself as like a brainstorming board with them. It's chuck whatever you want at me. I'll brainstorm it and then throw the options out at you. And then you can decide what works for you. And I find that works really well with my clients. They like having that to and fro of ideas and conversation.
So how do you feel the coaching industry is right now? Do you feel like there's still a lot of room for growth? Or do you feel like things are pivoting? I know the UK will be a little bit different than the US, but what are your thoughts?
I think the UK is definitely exploding in the coaching world. I
Nice.
think I think Americans are way ahead of us when it comes to like therapy, coaching, those
Okay.
talking practices. You're definitely way ahead of us. Us Brits, we don't talk about anything. It's when I say to people, I'm a beauty business coach, a lot of people are like, what is that? What do you do? I don't understand. You don't coach football. They understand that, but don't understand it in a business sense. So it really is explaining kind of what it is you do and how much value that can actually bring to a business, having that non-emotional person that can look at a business from the outside and go, this is why it's not working. This is what you need to be doing or need to be thinking about. Or if you're willing to make changes, maybe this is an option for you. But yeah, I think it's exciting times.
Good.
Definitely. There's a lot more out there. But yeah, the Brits are just gradually getting used to it all.
Good. That's good because that means you still have a lot of opportunity in front of you. Coaching thing
Absolutely.
is super saturated in the US. Everybody and their brother is some form of coaching. I know that a good chunk are still doing really well, but as the economy shifts, people are looking to get a little bit more creative in what they offer. Is it membership? Is it monthly support? Is it an expansion on the program that they had, especially if they want to stay in the coaching industry? So say I was with a business coach and they were creating a marketing strategy for me. I can use AI now to do that for me and not have to pay somebody $5,000 to get that program. So it's people getting more creative and really going back to the human, right? What value do you add
Absolutely.
besides a system or a process or something that I can ask AI for? What is that human component that you're bringing? Is it support? Is it my cheerleader? Is it mindset where you can really get into the mind and help somebody evolve? If you're
Wow.
in coaching, those are things you got to consider right now. What's that value that I can't get anywhere else that makes you
Yeah.
unique? And if you have that on top of the result on the back end, then you still got a viable business right now.
Yeah. Just from the research I've done, there are some people that do the really loud, amazing kind of packages, and you're just like, oh my God, that looks stunning. But I don't think you just don't need all of that. I'm quite a down to earth kind of person
Mhm.
myself. And I just think simple is sometimes best. And again, having that human contact, having somebody that you can be accountable to, someone who can offer you the emotional support, but also be really unemotional when it comes to your business, but in a business way, because I think that just really helps. Whereas AI can't do any of that. And as I've said, my principal thing is working with people's values and making sure that business is in alignment with them. AI can't do that. And again, not yet. And
Yeah.
obviously, a lot of businesses out there, they're still, I find they throw a lot of beauty adverts into their coaching pages. And I'm like, I don't want to see what everyone's selling and what they're doing. I want my clients to know what I'm doing and how I can help them. and they know that my time is, oh, we got a little friend, and that my time is directed at them and what they need, not messing around with adverts for different equipment. And or I've even seen one coach he almost like yells in his posts at people like, you've got to do this and this is the way to do it. And if you want clients, this is what you're going to do. And it's just like, it scared me just looking at it. And I was like, no, I'm totally not in alignment with any of
Right.
that at all. I am quite simple. I have a very easy program that people can follow. So even if they are working full time and trying to build up the beauty on the side, or whether it is their whole main thing, that they can fit in little activities every day that will create really good business habits, and that they're all going to feel totally good about what it is they're doing.
And, that's the great thing about us being human, though. The man that is super, I don't want to say aggressive, assertive,
Yeah.
that'll resonate with some people. They need somebody to be that powerful, loud
Yeah.
voice to overcome whatever challenges they have. That's
Yeah.
what makes us having multiple businesses so worth it, is we don't
Yeah.
need to resonate with everybody. We just need to find people that we can help, that we attract, that the energy's right, that we can benefit them. So that's
Yeah.
actually a
Yeah.
great thing.
Totally.
He's different. He'll
Yeah.
have a different audience that works for, and you find yours and get it going. What would you say to somebody that is going through this process? They know what they want to do, but they can't quite figure out why they can't get clients. What do you typically tell them?
First of all, I would ask them, who is it they're looking for in a clientele? Now, a lot of them might say, for example, mostly women obviously have their nails done. Obviously, I know there's a lot of men that do nowadays as well, but mainly it's a kind of female kind of thing. But if I've got somebody like myself, I don't necessarily attract the clients that want all the really posh, really long clients. That's not my tribe for me personally. Most of mine are just the classic, nice color, just nice and simple. And it's finding out who you're attracting, because if you want all the elaborate nail art kind of clients, but you're looking at people in their 60s and 70s, chances are they're not your people. You need to go and find the youngsters. And where do they hang out? Is it in particular Facebook groups? Is it Instagram, TikTok? Find out where your clients actually hang out and make sure they're in alignment with you. Because again, if they're not the kind of people that you're looking for, or that are going to be attracted to you, you're not going to go there. So it's really making them understand that what they want and what they're looking for need to be in alignment. And I use that word a lot, but to me, that's what's most important. So if you've got a young mum that's doing this, then go and look for young mums, because they're going to relate to you on so many different levels. But yeah, I think excuse me, I think it's about find the right people and making sure that they're happy with who they're talking to.
I
Makes
think
sense.
that's a great first step. Here's the other challenge I see often is they go out with a wide net saying, I just need to get started. I just need money. I just need to get revenue coming into the business, and then I'll niche down, and then I'll
Yeah.
find my specific tribe. But what ends up happening is, because there's so much noise and their message is so generic, they don't attract anybody. And so they continue
No.
to struggle. They're better off to do it the other way around. Just pick one to start, dig in a
Yeah.
little bit and set a plan in place for 90 days. So 90 days,
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on this specific audience. This is what resonates with me. These are the people I feel like I can help. Let's do 90 days and see what happens. If you've got to generate revenue somewhere else, then do it. If you have to have a job while you're going through this, then do it. But it's worth it, because I guarantee you at the end of 90 days, if you've not picked one target audience to go after, you're still going to be
Yeah.
broke. You're still going to be struggling. You may make
Yeah.
$10 today and then nothing for 3 days and make another $10. It's not that you won't see any clients, but It's super challenging. And at the end of the 90
Yeah.
days, nobody's clear on who you're serving.
Absolutely. And as I said to you when we first spoke, one of the issues I came up with is obviously I've been in the beauty industry
Mm.
for such a long time, and I know how to talk to those clients. I know I've got my tribe and I know how to advertise to them and I know how to speak to them. And then when I transferred over to the coaching, I almost went in with the same strategy and it
Mm.
did not work. And I really had to stop and think, okay, I can't sell to people like in that way because
Mm.
that's not what they're looking for. And that's not how they are going to respond to me. And also again, at the beginning, I didn't quite have a niche and I was widespread. And like you say, was thinking, why am I not getting anywhere? What isn't working here? But obviously in coaching, I realized that sort of finding your niche and concentrating in one area more is so much more important in the coaching world. And it's all a learning curve, but it's all about, again, finding those right people. And even though I've got my niche now, I've still got so many different varieties of people within that sector. And it's still trying to find how to connect with each and every kind of type of person, because not everyone's going to bond to
Right.
me, and that's fine in business. And people have to understand that that's fine. Not everyone's going to
It's not
like you.
personal. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's business.
Yeah.
And I feel quite harsh when I say that to my clients. I'm like, look, this isn't personal. This isn't about you. It's business. Take the emotion out of it and then think about the problem that you're having. And
Might have been a Brit in another life because I am all about that. It's not personal. Don't make it personal.
yeah. And I
I
think if
mean,
you can take that out of it,
yeah, I was gonna say sometimes it is personal just because you just don't connect or don't resonate together, but it's not personal. I don't like you. It's just we just didn't really
yeah.
connect. We didn't have anything, any kind of
And
connection.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
People seem to think that you have to like everyone and everyone has to like you. And you really don't. You can be friendly with
Mhm.
people, but you don't have to be
Respectful.
their friends.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can be friendly, you can be respectful, you can have a working relationship with them, but they don't have to be your friends. You don't have
Right.
to see them away from work. You don't have to sit and find out all their personal problems. You don't have to pop round for a cup of tea or send them birthday cards, for example. But a lot of people really struggle with that difference between a friend and being friendly.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get your mind around that, again, that takes out a lot of emotion around your business. And a lot of my clients have actually turned into my friends. That's because I've known them for so many years now. But it's just a different step, but they still
Right.
know where I am with my business, and they do, and we still have that business relationship. They know if they mess my appointments around, they're going to get a cancellation fee. I don't care if we're having a glass of Prosecco at the same time. They know that's the way it goes. But no, definitely when you're starting out, you're not looking for new friends. You're looking for clients that you can be friendly with.
Good point. So, what would be one last piece of advice that you would give somebody that is maybe a year into their journey but is still struggling? What would you advise them?
I would probably say be patient and be kind to yourself. It's
Okay.
not that you're not necessarily doing things wrong, but don't be shy to ask for guidance. There are many of people that have done this before you, and they're out there and they're successful for a reason. So seek that advice and that help. And yeah, just like I said, just be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up just
Good.
because you're not where you think you should be.
That that comparison thing is death, man. Cut that stuff out of your life. It is
Yeah, I
such
should
not
be
a good
here. I should be
comparison.
there. I should have done this. Should is not your friend.
No, no. All right, Jody. Thanks so much for being here. This has been a great episode. And until next time, you guys keep moving through the middle.